Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Backstory Podcast today. I am very excited to introduce a very old friend of mine. Someone we kind of played together in the early days, and he's done some incredible work. And I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I get to kind of catch up on a little bit of the wonderful things that he's doing on this planet, because we've been kind of working on parallel avenues, and we're probably on the same channel. That's kind of the idea. Welcome, John Ryan, Dr. John. Welcome, buddy. Glad you're here
Thank
today.
you, Steve. It's truly a delight to be here, and a big hello to the audience as well.
Oh, good, 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 good. Yeah, we've like I said, we have been together several times, and we've attended seminars together, and we've worked with Lee Carroll, um, and you're in Ottawa. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, in
Good,
Canada. Yep.
good. And I used to travel up that way on a fairly regular basis up to Sudbury and some other places there in Toronto and Ottawa, as well as the other side too. So Victoria. So it's been amazing. It's really good to see you. It's awesome.
You too, Steve. It feels like a reunion of sorts. So it's really,
Yeah,
really
I'm
heartwarming to
sure it
be
is.
with you.
I'm sure it is. That's awesome. So let me kind of introduce a little bit, and please tell me a little bit about how this got started for you. I know that goes back. I think you've been doing it a little bit longer than I have, and I've been in this for 30 years. So anyway, it is the Backstory Podcast. So we'd like to know a little bit of the genesis of your work and kind of how things transpired from you. You are a medical doctor, are you not?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how that worked for you.
Sure. So, well, it's interesting because uh, my spiritual, I guess, advent goes back into the late 1980s, early 1990s, when it was a time I was just finishing my medical training, and I was about to start to go into the advanced training and to begin a career in medicine. And I began to have these energetic experiences around that time, Steve. I started to have out of body experiences, and sometimes I'd be talking to people and I would see a field of light around their body. I would have
Wow.
these unusual consciousness type experiences. And I had no framework really for understanding what I was living myself. I was kind of going through this thinking, what's wrong with me? And of course, having just finished medical training, of course, you start to think of all the things that could possibly be wrong with you. So fortunately, I didn't become a hypochondriac. But what happened for me was I woke up one day and I had this experience where I had this unrelenting intuition to go visit a bookstore in town. And when I did finally succumb to the intuition, I found myself there. It was a holistic kind of a bookstore and not a place I would normally have gone at the time. But I walked in and I looked around and I thought, well, what am I doing here? I'm never going to find anything I need here. And as I did, my eyes went around the room and there was a book on the bookshelf that literally doubled in size the way a icon on your computer might double in size when your mouse pans over it. And I went over and took the book off the shelf, and it said, The Spontaneous Awakening of Kundalini by Gopi Krishna. And I started to read the book, and it was really fascinating because it was a whole world of information and consciousness about which I knew nothing. But I could see myself in the experiences that he was sharing in the book. And I began to understand that I was undergoing some kind of a spiritual awakening or an energetic awakening. And one thing kind of led to another as I began to integrate the information in the book and my own experiences. I came across a second book, which was Lee Carroll's first book. It was The End Times was the name of the book. And I kind of panned through the book and I thought, this is so true. There was such resonance in the information, and I knew right away that all of this was happening at this point in time as some kind of an orchestration, like a spiritual orchestration. And I wasn't really a spiritual seeker. I was busy being, an academic person going through school and university. But these two little events really changed the course of my life because I began to understand something really profound is happening on the planet, and something really profound was happening in my own experience of being on the planet. And so it prompted me to explore healing, energy, consciousness, all kinds of things outside the realm of normal Western thinking and Western medicine. And I began to have all kinds of experiences in those domains. I learned energy healing, and I learned about various Eastern systems of thinking and healing that have been around on
Right.
the planet for thousands of years, and began to integrate that into my own experience of medicine and my own experience of being with people. And so all of this began unfolding. And then I started having kind of visions or experiences that were like dreamlike visions or shamanic visions that began introducing me to information about the ascension and the harmonic convergence and the aspect of us that's energy and consciousness and how that's related to healing and how we're really spiritual beings, not just human beings and so forth.
Right.
And it began teaching me about something that I call today the 24th chromosome, an energy structure that's part of our spiritual anatomy, if you will. And a lot of the teaching of that came through visionary experiences. I'd have them in meditations or in dreamlike states of consciousness. I'd be shown things and introduced to things. And then I had to begin integrating the information and bringing it to life in a more practical way so that I could share it and discuss it and be with people with the information. And so then there's a whole array of 3 decades after that. But that's kind of a synopsis of how it unfolded.
That's amazing. All right, I got to share a little bit with you about this, and I haven't told this story in many years, but I was a general contractor in San Diego. I did not live in this world at all. Totally different language. Every other word started with F. It literally was living a different. I'm in Costco. It wasn't Costco at the time. It was Price Club. That's how far back this was. I turned my cart and I hit the books that were all stacked up on a pallet, and one of them jumped in the bottom of my cart, and it was the Cryon book. So
wow.
I'm telling you, that's I think we're on the same channel in a lot of ways. That's amazing.
That's
So
amazing.
tell me about this 24th chromosome. I've heard you talk about this before. The group has talked about DNA being multidimensional and that we don't actually see all of it. There's other strands, there's other parts of it. But tell me about this 24th chromosome. We normally have 23, right? And this is the
Correct.
24th?
Yeah. Or 23 pairs is what we have.
23
So
pairs, right.
in our normal genetic profile, there's 23 pairs of chromosomes, and half, of course, will come from the paternal and half from the maternal contribution, I guess. What I was shown in a vision was it unfolded for me over a series of experiences. I was shown in one vision this experience where a filament of light came, Steve, like it was like coming from the center of the galaxy, if you will, and it plugged in the top of my head the way a cord might plug into an electrical outlet. And as it did, I could feel my body begin to vibrate, have a whole surge of energy and experience. And as I watched this cord or filament, what happened is it too began to vibrate, and it popped open into the form of what looked like a helix. And so it was like this big energetic DNA molecule was plugged into the top of my head, is what it was like in the vision. Now, when you have these visions, it's important to understand that there's a metaphoric aspect to them. Like sometimes these experiences are real in the sense that it's describing something or teaching something. But the way that the energy presents itself is so that you can develop a conceptual understanding of what you're being shown. And so I believe, people will say, do you really have a 24th chromosome plugged in to the top of your head? It's not energetically the way it exists because it's a multi-dimensional thing. But this was just shown to me to present it as something that's connecting or awakening or being activated at this point in time. And then as time went on, I began having a series of other experiences where I was shown that as this field opens, it's kind of like this polyphonic wave form. It's an incredible energetic structure, and it contains within it all the information that's related to your soul's experience, not just this incarnation and who you are at this point in your timeline on the earth, but everything your soul has ever lived, or what you might say your higher self or oversoul has lived as experiences and more. And so all of this information is kind of coded in this space. Now, parallel to that, the earth is going through a process of awakening. You know, we're familiar with the concept of ascension, and the earth is going through an awakening of energy and consciousness and so forth. And that's a real thing that is happening on the planet. And it's actually why we're having these spiritual awakenings and
Oh,
experiences.
that's
It's kind of
great.
like coded into our memory to do that. And so this information was really pared down up to this point in time. So we would be born, we'd live our life, we'd go through an experience, we'd pass back over, we'd reincarnate, we'd come in again, forgetting all of the other experiences that we had lived and so forth. As this structure is opening, it's bringing into our body and into our field of information access to energy and information that exists in many dimensions of reality. So it's a multidimensional structure, and it interfaces with us as an energetic field. It's really an origin field. It's kind of like why we're here. It's where we came from, in essence, but it's also merging and integrating with the physical body and the energy fields of the body at this time. And as that happens, the human body and the human being is undergoing the ascension process, this whole experience of energetic awakening, remembering, integration of fields of information and light from other incarnational experiences, the healing that goes along with all of that integration, and so forth. And that's kind of how it was introduced as a concept. And then I was shown a lot more information about it. I won't get into the nitty gritty, but that's kind of the overview of what it represents.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It's yeah, because we're all starting to come to these understandings, including science. Almost all of the astrophysicists and theoretical physicists are very much aware that we are multidimensional, not just us, but everything. They don't even use the word universe anymore. It's a multiverse now. So
That's right.
it's absolutely fascinating to see how this is all blending in. And I won't say that science actually agrees with spirituality yet, but we're getting closer all the time. It's
We're
pretty
well on our
exciting.
way.
Yeah, we are. We are. Well, they live in different worlds. I mean, everything that science is talking about has to be quantified in specific ways and so forth. And we live in the other part. We take our heart first, and then we look for the quantification afterwards.
That's right.
So it's absolutely amazing. And you're channeling. Tell what is it? SB. I wrote it down. SBWC, right? So that's
The Syrian
Syrian.
blues, yeah. So
Tell
what
me.
happened was the in the series of experiences, as this DNA structure kind of introduced itself to me as a reality, I was led through a series of visions that began to teach me how to work in this space to help people with their healing journey, with energy healing or energy medicine, and the process of integration of the ascension itself. So, all that encompasses and that entails. And that led to the development of a program of work called the Unity Field Healing Program. About 5 years after teaching the Unity Field Healing work to other people, after I had gone through the whole process of receiving and integrating and developing the information, I had a meditation one day where this group of light beings came into my third eye vision. And they kind of came as this ball of light, blue scintillating starlight. And the ball opened up into a fan, like an array or a choir. And out of the light, there were these light beings that emerged. There was a whole panel of them that stood there. And they spoke in a telepathic way in this vision. And they explained that they are the Syrian Blue White Collective. And they said that they've been intimately woven into my whole development and history and integration of this information. And they've been part of humanity since their wording was before the beginning of time. And
Yes.
so they began to explain that they are there at this moment in time to support humanity through the awakening process that we're undergoing. And they came to me in that vision because they said, we've been working in the background. So with the work of Unity Field Healing and what have you, kind of quietly or anonymously. But they came forward in a more open and conscious way because they wanted to begin a series of monthly transmissions. And they explained that there's a whole swath of humanity, a group of human beings who are integrating the ascension process. And it can be a very challenging experience to integrate energetically, and you're developing
Oh,
new
yes.
fields of energy and information and so on. And they wanted to be available to support people month to month as they go through this integration journey. And so I thought this would be, a monthly meditation or something. Well, lo and behold, it kind of turned into a whole transmission process where every month they would bring in a teaching. We would do a meditation to integrate the energy of the teaching. And then the work has evolved into the crystalline integration, and they put us to work now in these transmissions. We actually do light work in the transmissions where we're working in the crystalline grid of the planet to help integrate the energy and the
Oh,
change that's
beautiful.
taking place. Yeah.
Can we show your website here real quick
Yeah,
and
sure.
tell people there? This is. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page here. You've got such a beautiful website. You really do, but there's some incredible pieces here. Let me get to this and show people where we are. You've got. There we go. You and I were talking before we started, so I kind of lost where we're at. But this is the beginning of your web page and some of the beautiful
Yeah.
aspects of it. And then
Yeah. Healing from the stars.
the yeah, and then you've got all the thing about all the aspects that we have about the unified healing, unified field healing, and some of the beautiful pieces that you worked with here, and some of the other parts. There's a lot more here, different aspects of it, and then we also had the transmissions. I remember, right?
That's
Got
right.
it right over here, and those are available too. Tells the whole story and different aspects that you can go through, and absolutely well done, sir. I tell you, it's a
Thanks,
beautiful
Steve.
piece that you can go in and find out. So does this change regularly, or do you send this out on email, or how does that work?
So the way the transmissions work is they're held monthly, and they're done kind of on an annual basis. So people often subscribe for the year, or some people just check in from time to time with one of the transmissions. So people register for those as events. And then I always take the last 40, it's a 3 hour event, but the last 45 minutes is an energetic integration transmission meditation. And so I take all of the transmission meditations and I post them on a YouTube channel. And so they're available freely for anybody to go back and visit. There's like hours and hours and hours now of meditations that are there.
Yes,
Yep, that's the
sir.
YouTube channel. And
Absolutely.
so they're freely available to people there. And
Good.
or people are interested in the work, they can register for the transmissions as well. So month to month.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That's amazing. And the different parts of this. Have you written? Have you done any books yet, or how's that work?
Yeah, so I've written one book called it was originally called Unity Field Healing Volume One, but the publisher had shifted and changed, and they had to retitle the book to move it to another publisher, and so now it's called The Energy Code for Healing. So it's kind of a primer on energy medicine is really what the book is. It kind of takes you through a deep understanding of human consciousness, the energy fields, the ascension process, why it's happening now, the integration of healing that comes with that, right up to the threshold, I guess, if you will, of unity field healing, or beginning to work in that quantum space of healing. And so that's the book that's available about healing that I've written for sure.
Awesome. And what about the DNA itself? Is the DNA evolving, or is the physical body actually changing, or are we just discovering new parts of it that we hadn't seen before? I'm really curious about that part.
The way that it's explained by the Syrians is we're familiar with the standard energy model. We have a
Right.
physical body, an etheric body, an emotional body, a mental body. We have our chakras, we have our meridians, and so we're versed now in that aspect of energy and how the body is really an energy structure. But they've been explaining that we're integrating new fields of information and energy. They call it the diamond body, or the diamond light templates.
Oh,
And we're
beautiful.
integrating these quantum structures kind of superimposed on the physical body. So the human energy system is changing because it's integrating these new quantum fields of architecture. And so the body is capable of receiving higher vibrational levels of information and light and holding it in the form body while we're in the form body. So they joke sometimes, they say the ascension is a misnomer. It's more of a descension because we're really bringing down light
Right.
and consciousness and energy, and we're weaving it into the form world, not leaving the world or ascending in that way. And
And
so, yeah, the
yeah,
body is changing as part of that. And so the DNA awakening is the beginning of that, this quantum 24th structure that begins to open. But as that opens and unfurls, and it opens us to the energy and consciousness of our, spiritual and even galactic memory, we begin integrating fields to hold that energy in our field of body while we are here in the form world, if you will. Yeah.
and and can you explain the unified field? I mean, I know that there's different aspects of the unified field, talking about everything from the quantum world to astrophysics and so forth. But can you put it in your words for us so we can kind of grasp that in a different way? I know the way the group describes it, but I'm really curious about how this is working.
But it's interesting because when I received the information for the work, the name came with the work. And so they told me just to title the work Unity Field Healing. And what happens in these sessions is there's a field of energy that is generated in performing a session that creates this space of unification of the body with the soul. So it's a soul integration process.
Wow.
And so the unity part of the work in Unity Field Healing is that greater unification. Now, on a planetary level, we also speak about a unified field, and it's a little bit different. But what the understanding of that is there's a field that is collective in nature. It's a dimensional field that we don't see with our visual eyes, but it's this energetic reality that exists in space and on the planet, if you will, not just on the planet, but throughout the galaxy, the universe. And this field of energy and information is kind of like the field through which things emerge or are generated. And everything is interconnected and woven into that field. And so people will use it sometimes to explain telepathy or,
Right.
things that can occur at a distance energetically, and consciousness, how two people can connect in consciousness, even though they're not physically in the same room or the same space, and these types of things. I mean, in the end, the unity expands to involve universal nature, doesn't it? It's like we are one with the creator, and everything that has emerged from the creator is part of that field. And we're one with the field. We are in that field and one with the field in our living experience. And we're approaching that memory. We're starting to remember that that's our nature. We're starting to
Good.
remember that's who we are. Yeah, exactly.
It's a beautiful piece we all need to remember to. Yeah, the group has brought a whole bunch of those things together and talked about them. They in the first book that we wrote in 2000, they talked about the universal energy, which I believe is very similar to this. And now they've tied it in with what several religions have called Akash or Akasha,
Yeah.
which is where the Akashic records are, because that's the same type of thing. There's logos. And in the scientific world, the group has actually said something that it's probably what the scientific world is searching for in the way of dark energy. It connects
Right.
everything everywhere and makes up about 68% of the universal energy. So
Right.
I think we're coming to some understandings and realizations that are going to just tie us together. We're all one. We think we're separate, but we're all connected in some amazing ways.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, you touch on so many valuable things there, Steve. In two thoughts, you've covered like a
Yep.
big array of concepts. But I
Yeah.
would add to that as we go through this period of time, we're beginning to remember our emergence from a spiritual dimension, a spiritual reality. People talk about the void or the womb, and science talks about dark energy, but we begin to understand that everything that exists in the form world or in an expressed way of life, or what we would call earth and 3D reality, originates from an energy field. It doesn't just happen to be there. It comes from an organized system of energy that has brought it into being in through some way. And there's a great mystery in that and a great deal of confusion and misunderstanding at times in that. But we begin to appreciate that everything that exists has form or origin from a spiritual or an energetic dimension, whether we're talking spirituality versus scientific thought. And so the worlds kind of collide. They come together because they begin to speak a different language, but saying the same things. And one of the things the Syrians have said over and over is, we're going to give you concepts, words, phrases, and ideas, but don't be attached to any of them as absolute truths. Understand that they are mechanisms of conveying information and explaining concepts and principles so you can grasp them and understand them. That you can name them, but don't be attached to the names. This is not about forming a religion or a new structure of thought. It's about expanding consciousness so you have a much deeper appreciation of the nature of reality. And I loved when they said that because it freed my mind from thinking I had to have everything right or use a specific language and other language might be wrong. They're all different ways of saying things that approach the very same understanding and the very same wisdom. And so that's mirrored in what you're saying. It's like we might use different words or ideas, but truly, really, at the core and essence of it, it's exactly the same expression of belief.
That's beautiful. Yeah, the group has talked often about belief systems. They say it's perfect to have beliefs, but if you believe this and then you have to believe all these other things around it, that's a belief system, and they call that BS. So that
Yeah, that's
absolutely,
good.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we're learning to just take everything, and the group does the same thing. They tell these stories in human form so that we understand them. They talk about the big table where we make all our contracts before we come in, but there's no table. There's no place like that. They put it into words that we can understand. It's absolutely fascinating. And
Yeah.
like I said, we're validating each other in a lot of different ways. It's
Yeah,
really
100%.
amazing, really amazing, fascinating stuff. So what's next for you? I know you've got a lot of classes going on. You have a practitioner training, is that right?
So, yeah, there is. We have a practitioner training coming up in June. So, um, as the work evolved, I first of all was doing the work, Steve, but then I began kind of initiating practitioners to do the work. And over the course of time, we have almost 700 Unity Field Healing practitioners now, who all over the globe who
Incredible.
are doing this work. But and then just last year, I was led to create teachers, so teachers who can teach classes as well, so that I don't have to do all of the teaching alone. And so now have like 18 teachers, I think, who went through that program to become facilitators for teaching the work as well. And so, about 3 times a year, I'll give a personal class where I will do it usually online or occasionally in person and initiate practitioners into the work or the training. And so, I do have a class coming up in June online, the weekend of June 13, 14. Yeah.
And in case this doesn't air until then, do you have another one after that?
There's another one in October. No, October, there's an in person one in Ottawa.
Oh,
And there in November, there's an online program as well in,
oh,
well,
nice,
online.
nice. Very nice, sir. It's yeah, we're really doing a lot of very similar work in many ways. It's really wonderful to connect up with you like this, and we have a mutual friend, Sandy Sedgbeer, who put us back in touch with each other. We, like I said,
Is that
we've known each
amazing?
other, yeah, back years ago, and she was just here for about a week, and she's the idea lady. She just stirs everything in all of us. It's just amazing person. It's absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful. Good.
Yeah,
We're
she's precious.
Yeah, she is. We're just about out of time on this segment, but I absolutely want to have you back. I'd love to connect with you further. Maybe even have you into one of our Light Master groups to speak to them some of the things that we do if you're open for it.
For
But
sure.
for right now, I know we're all going through this crazy time where we're reevaluating things and looking at what's going on and so forth. And we're moving into this the group calls it a fifth dimensional frequency.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a higher thing. It's not something that's going to happen on a day or in a time frame. Little by little, we're increasing our abilities to move into that. What can you talk to that? Do you agree with that in any way?
100%. I think, I mean, for so many years, humanity's kind of approached healing through struggle or survival, repair,
Yeah,
the energy of duality. But what I see more and more, or increasingly see over time, both personally in my life and also through the work of Unity Field Healing and the work with the Syrians, is that beneath all that fragmentation, there's a harmonic intelligence that's emerging. It's present within us already, and it's beginning to come forth or to shine through or to integrate into the physical world and into our bodies and consciousness. And the journey is not really about becoming something other than really our most genuine, authentic selves. It's about kind of removing layers of distortion that prevent us from
right.
experience that deep coherence and the light that's there. And so I think we're entering a time where we're becoming aware of the truth of that. And we're, for that reason, allowing that integration to take place more deeply and more profoundly. And so I think it's a time where we're learning to relax and allow, kind of let the process unfold within us and awaken within us the memories that are there and deeply embedded within our being. And that's really what I see unfolding, I think, for people at this moment.
Absolutely magical, magical.
Yeah.
As I said, we're running short on time right now in this segment. Do you have any final piece you want to leave us with? Anything that you can kind of give us as we part company here for a little bit?
I think it's a turbulent time on the planet.
It
I
is.
think is the most important thing to understand. There's so much changing, and it can seem like we're going backwards in some ways in consciousness and time. But it's really important that we understand right now where we are is that there is a disintegration and a dismantling of an old world that's taking place within the fabric of reality and a new world that's being born that's not quite fully visible yet, but we're getting glimpses and experiences of where we're headed as a collective humanity. And so just it's important to nurture ourselves, take care of one another, to be in a space of really supportive self-care and group care as we navigate through these waters and shifting energies and allow this light that we're speaking of to emerge and come forward. And we're really at the dawn of that, the threshold or the dawn, to speak in metaphoric terms. It's really here, and we're good things are so just around the corner. We just have to hang in there a little bit while we
Yep.
navigate this space and to understand the nature of what's happening. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. Yep. I, you're we're 100%. We're on the same tone and the same channel. Absolutely. Very magical.
Same wavelength.
John, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it. And like I said, if you're up for it, we'll bring this back together and do a few of these from time to time. I love the validation of the things that we're working with, and that's pretty much what the group has been saying. Of course, we use different terms and different phrases, but they're basically saying we're moving into this higher frequency, but we also have our daily commitments. We've got to take our kids to school. We got to go to the work. We got to support our family in the third dimension while we're actually anchoring parts of the higher reality of the fifth dimension. So, absolutely a
Absolutely.
beautiful time to be here. Our place has been
For sure.
reserved, so
Absolutely.
it's been
Yeah.
great. John Ryan, thank you so much. And we've shown your website. We'll have some links down there for you in different aspects, and we'll send you a collaboration link on YouTube, so we'll be able to connect up in different ways. But thank you so much for being here with us today. And
Thank you,
absolutely, yes.
Steve. It's beautiful and really, really wonderful to reconnect after a big period of
Well,
time.
yeah, it's been a
It's
long time too.
it
That's
has,
amazing.
but there is none,
It's
as they
been
say.
amazing. That's true. The time's an illusion. So here we are. Absolutely. Thanks again, Dr. John Ryan. Thanks everybody for being with us here today. You know, we all do go through some difficult times. We have to go through the mud puddles, like the group says. The secret to the mud puddles is keep moving. And the biggest piece is hold hands. We can create anything if we hold hands and work together. And with that, I'll leave you for the Backstory podcast for today. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. A smile for everybody.